This is our top focus for the news wheel. Missing an EMI on mobile phone loans will no longer give banks a free hand to remotely lock or disable your device. The Reserve Bank of India has come up with new rules to ensure that individuals who miss EMI payments are not harassed by the borrowers. Under its new loan recovery norm, banks and regulated lenders will have to follow stricter rules on how they contact the borrowers, what recovery agents can and cannot say, when they can call, when they can't call, and how they conduct these quote unquote field visits. Now, the rules will come into effect from the 1st of January 2027. The RBI has also brought technology led recovery, including remote locking of financed smartphones, tablets, and laptops under a formal regulatory framework. The new rules set a clear window for recovery calls and visits. The RBI has clarified that banks cannot disable the mobile phones, laptops, or tablets of borrowers who default on personal loans, on car loans, home loans, or any other type of credit. Such restrictions are permitted only if the lender financed the purchase of that particular device. Even in such cases, lenders cannot immediately lock or disable the device after a borrower misses repayments. According to the RBI, banks must adopt a gradual approach before restricting any financed device instead of disabling it right from the outset. My colleague Varghese Abraham joins us on the broadcast here. Varghese, significant move coming here from the RBI. So many of our countrymen that finance their mobile phones, different gadgets, be it a laptop, be it a tablet, on the EMI. And now this new move coming from the RBI. What are the salient features of this, and how does this help the financiers and the borrowers? Spell that out for the viewers, please.
What we understand from the new guidelines is that it is an effort to ensure that there is no randomization when action is in fact taken. It's going to be a regulated action. You can lock the device, but it cannot be locked in an ad hoc basis. What happens is that there's a structure that has been put in place. First of all, some kind of action can take place only after there is a period that is being put into place. That is to say that there is a 30-day period after which only the first action can be taken place, and then after 60 days of non-payment of the EMI and also notices being given is when you can go for the rest of the period, rest of the action that can be taken, which would be the recovery of the good that has been taken on the loan. So there is a time frame that has been put into place as well. Now, one is to ensure that there is a proper auditing that is done with regard to the actions taken on the part of the recovery agents. When it comes to locking also, there are safeguards that have been put in. Banks cannot in fact disable incoming calls, SMS services, or emergency SOS functions. So restrictions should not in fact interfere with the activities that are necessary for the workers' work or employment. So these are some of the restrictions that have been put into place. Meanwhile, the bank will have to, in fact, also ensure that the actions of the recovery agents are also scrutinized. The recovery agent's basic details, as well as his background checks, have to be, in fact, verified, and then only will they, in fact, be able to go ahead with the recovery agent. Also, if they are outsourcing the recovery to third-party recovery agencies as well, the bank will be held responsible for any kind of untowardness that could in fact happen.
Understood. So essentially new rules have been introduced. There is going to be a regulatory framework. The lenders or the financiers cannot call you at random, at ad hoc, at any given time, of the day. But what are some of these regulations, Varghese? When can the financiers actually make those calls? Can they actually go out and lock these devices? In certain cases, if they've financed for a particular, gadget, let's say a mobile phone, can they lock that very device or not? And what was the need for all of this to come in here in the first place?
Each recovery agents had their own plan in action, and most of them were third-party recovery agents that were engaged with the banks for the recovery of the good that had EMI defaults. Now here, interestingly enough, there is a time period that's been put in. One time period is that no restrictions can be activated until the account becomes 30 days past due. Now, despite the notice to the borrowers that have been given, even then the restrictions must not be introduced, is what the RBI said, and therefore the restrictions can only be done gradually. Now, complete restrictions or the restrictions according to the recovery can only be carried out after the loan remains unpaid for a period of 60 days. And also, interestingly enough, outgoing calls cannot be blocked before that point. That is to say, you have a 60-day period or a window in which the action cannot be taken. The only action that can be done is the banks can be sending in notices. So earlier, what happened was the recovery agents did have access to the software that was there within the phones, and they would in fact lock it immediately if one default is there. So here, what happens is there's a 60-day period for the default being considered, and after which only the actions can be taken. Meanwhile, there was also the social media shaming as well as calling at odd hours that are there. It is being said that the banks can engage in calls for recovery only between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. and cannot continue beyond 7 p.m. unless there is written approval that has been given by the person or the borrower. So these are some of those actions that have been taken as well. Meanwhile, once the restrictions are being put into place, there is a clear line that has also been put into place by the RBI, that is to say that banks and third-party technology providers are prohibited from accessing personal data that are stored on the borrower's devices, including contacts, photographs, messages, call logs, or location history. Now, this is what is to ensure that the privacy laws are
essentially,
not violated.
the RBI coming in for the millions of borrowers out there, Varghese. But one prime question, since it's going to come into effect from the 1st of January 2027, is, of course, going to be the enforcement aspect of this all. How well is this going to be enforced on the ground? I mean, it looks great on paper, but the implementation here will matter as well. So there is a new regulatory framework. Those devices can't be locked at random. There is a particular timeline and a period. New regulations and stipulations that have been put in place, and no threats, no late night calls as the RBI issues a new rule base for the loan recovery out there. Many thanks, Varghese Ibrahim, ladies and gentlemen, bringing us the latest details over here.